for me, it's very simple in terms of, I look at Deion Sanders and what he's doing, and we talk about nepotism and how it, manifests itself in these sports and how it's covered when it's one of the Mannings or Deion's kid or whatever, or LeBron. I watch when you have an opportunity to put your name to something and you don't sign it. Like, I'm sorry, when Bill Belichick was a GM and a player didn't sign a franchise tag, it wasn't just taking his word for it. You had to sign the actual contract. And the fact that he has it is interesting to me. Maybe 20% chance he goes to the NFL if an opportunity arises. And I think that there's no way that the Celtics would trade Jaylen Brown to make the team more valuable. It just doesn't make sense. So if I had to pick one, I would go with the Lombardi one. I would also just say that if you had to pick which one would be more successful sooner if they stay at their current job, Vrabel or Belichick, I think Belichick will have far more success if he sticks around at UNC in the first 2 to 3 years than Vrabel with the Patriots.
Yeah, because it's a little bit easier to turn a college program around than it is.
He'll be able to recruit. I mean, that's a destination now.
Yeah, that's a destination because one thing that he has in his back pocket we talk to Billy O all the time. A lot of these kids, they got the money for the NILs. They got the money. Maybe they don't have the type of money that an Alabama or a Georgia has. But the one thing that they have that some of those other schools don't have is they can get their kids to the NFL a lot quicker and a lot easier just because of Bill Belichick's name and his relationship with think about how many people are off his tree that are going to be coaching in the NFL. So having that type of credibility would, if I'm a kid or I'm a dad of a kid, I would say NIL is great, but this guy can get you to the NFL. We're going to UNC.
Don't you think that Bill Belichick being the head coach, though, a lot of companies, brands are going to want to offer NIL deals to guys playing under him?
But remember how NIL works. I don't think a lot of people understand it, and Deion explained it pretty good. NILs are basically name, image, and likeness.
Right? For endorsements.
Right, but most of these kids...
That would be it.
Right, but most of these kids are getting paid off of the collective. The collective is the money that the school gets. Right? It's separate from the NILs. So the only because Deion said it this way, how many college football kids do you see doing commercials?
Very little.
How many college football kids, like
wait, in the markets, a lot. Like I'm sure in Tuscaloosa.
But if you really look, Curtis, if you go to their social media pages, the NIL is... you're getting maybe the Shadeurs and the Travis Hunters, but a lot of these kids are getting the money through the collective. So, like Carson Beck goes to Miami. There's a report out there that they got a $4 million deal. That is coming from the collective. That is the money that the school got, that the school was able to raise through boosters and everything else, and saying, okay, if you come here, here's what we can pay you. You don't need to go out and do social media, and because that's what the NIL was originally thought to be.
Yeah, I just think of UNC like a BC where they have a lot of wealthy, affluent alum who are probably going to be putting a lot of money when it comes to the collective for Bill Belichick to get whoever he wants because he is the head coach.
They have $20 million now. That's the report out of there. And it would be, and I know he would never tell us, but it would be interesting to see what BC's collective is.
Yeah, I'm sure that's gone up.
Right? And so
I think we actually just got to $25 yesterday.
And Curtis, but that's really the way that they're able to get some of these kids. And it's great that we talked to Billy O about it, because if you go to a lot of these kids' social media, they're not promoting brands or promoting companies on their social media. I'm telling you, go look and you'll see a lot of these kids don't do that because the money that they're getting is from the collective, and it's basically like, here's $2 million. You don't have to do anything, but we're able to kind of raise this money and that. But Belichick will have the ability to do that, but Bill having the ability to sit in the kid's house and say, I can get you to the NFL, I mean, that's priceless. That is priceless.
I would ask you this, Wiggs, as someone who knows Bill better than any of us, if he was given truth serum today and asked if he would rather be coaching the Saints or North Carolina, what would he say?
Saints.
Right.
All day long.
So, and that's going to exist as long as he is this close to breaking that record. As long as there still is that bad blood with the Robert Kraft treatment of him on the way out the door and everything else, there will be a desire. And candidly, I'm always called the Belichick hater. I think it's obscene that Nick Sirianni is coaching the Eagles right now. That is the dumbest waste of talent. Nick Sirianni seems like a very nice guy, a great dad. He brings them on the, to the press conference when he has a bad game. But you are not doing everything in your power to win if you have a roster that is as talented as the Eagles is, and you have a guy in Nick Sirianni operating it at this time of the year.
And let me just say, Carson Beck has a big deal with Chipotle, as it looks on Instagram. So seems like he's doing just fine.
I am shocked that BC basketball doesn't have a good Chipotle deal.
Yeah, but if you really look, if you go to Cam Ward, if you really look and you go to their social media pages, a lot of these.
Yeah, they don't have ads every day, but they probably that Chipotle ad is probably worth over $1 million.
But the majority of them are getting the money from the collect. And we'll interview, and I think this is a great question to ask. We'll ask Billy O next week. But the majority of these kids are getting the money through the collective, and usually that's why there was just this thing on one of these college football shows, and Trent Dilfer was on there talking. He coaches for UAB, and he's in the AAC, and he was talking about how other schools, there's a couple schools in the AAC, which I believe it's probably like Memphis, and I can't remember maybe Tulane, are able to outbid guys on their roster because they have more money in the collective to say, okay, you're a starter on our roster at UAB, come to Tulane, we'll give you $50,000. You might be a backup, but you're getting more money than UAB's able to offer. So they're stealing some of these starters, and they're just using them as backup because of the collective, and that's the majority of where these kids are making their money from. So if you're like Belichick, you're able to go out and get those boosters and, former alumni people that are able to get those players to come in. That's what Portnoy did with the kid Bryce Underwood.
Yeah.
He was able to get the lady's husband, who's that rich dude, to say, hey, we'll give you what you want.
Yeah, speaking of sponsors, I feel like Wiggy and the Woman should get a sponsor pretty soon, looking at those numbers before Christmas break. Sheesh, Wiggy and the Woman
Pretty
with
good.
Razor.
We need to get an NIL or some collective over here.
Jeez.
I think that should be its own brand entirely, separate from the Greg Hill Show. It should be like an understudy.
All right.
I don't know if there's going to be a big pushback against this. I'm sure the conversations will build as the draft approaches and Deion's there. I know we have a caller. Is it Tim in Hanover who wanted to talk about the nepotism before we get to the break? Tim, you there?
Yeah, real quick, guys. I just wanted to bring up the point that, this nepotism thing with the coaches, that's half the battle. The other battle is if you get a team that has horrible talent to it, that quarterback goes on there, that also ruins them because that team isn't able to show this quarterback his abilities, and then what happens is that kid gets blamed for half of the problem. I got two quarterbacks. I just wanted to make this real quick. Two quarterbacks I've been following since college. One of them was Riley Leonard. This kid's going to be a stud. I compared him with Josh Allen, and I got the other one that we have, unfortunately. Hopefully he gets shown. It's going to be the kid that came from Tennessee. He's sitting in our pocket. We got two great quarterbacks
Joe
right
Milton.
now, which is Milton. I compared him to Cam Newton when he had a good arm with Carolina, one of his last year at Carolina.
All right, the Riley Leonard kid, I watched him play. I don't know, Tim, if I would put him in the Josh Allen category. He's a good runner, but I don't know if he throws the ball. He has the accuracy that Josh Allen has. To me, that's going to be the biggest, when you look at the game, Notre Dame versus Ohio State. That's why I said it's going to come down to the play of those two quarterbacks, Riley Leonard versus Will Howard.
One quick comment off of that, Wick. You're right, but you know what? They projected when he went to Notre Dame. Notre Dame did not have the same line they had the following year, and that's if he gets a solid offensive line around him, this kid's going to show his ability of just not running.
Mm-hmm.
He's a smart runner along with a good runner, and he does have a strong arm.
Okay.
And Milton, he's got a killer arm, and this kid can run like Cam Newton.
Right.
And I'll tell you what, he's a hidden prospect that we're blessed to have two great quarterbacks right now in our organization, and they got to develop them and get everything they need for these guys, and then we could have a solid team. So
the worst thing that happened, thanks,
Tim.
Thank you, Tim. Thanks. The worst thing that happened at the end of the season was not that the Patriots won and took the number 1 pick away. It's that the Joe Milton nuts were given an off season to talk about how the guy is a hidden jewel who's the next coming of Cam Newton.
I like Joe Milton, though. I think here's what I would do with Joe Milton, though. I mean, I don't know if he's going to be the next Cam Newton, but his physical traits remind you of Cam Newton because he's big, he's athletic, he can run. I would play him a lot in the preseason, highlight him,
100%,
highlight him, and then see if you can get a 3rd or 4th round pick for him. Because what did you draft him in the 6th round?
I would keep him as a backup, man. This kid could be a quality backup.
Jackson, I said thank you to him like 16 times. Okay, I know he's a quality backup. Mm-hmm. I know that Joe Milton was great when he was here. There is I would say, probably unlucky you're going to find 2 Hall of Fame or MVP quarterbacks if he's Cam Newton in the 6th round of the draft as the same organization. Just slightly unlikely. I hope he is. He seems like a great guy. I mean, the way he talked about Drake May after that game, the final game of the season, he seems like a guy you can easily root for, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. It's a little much.
No, but you would say I mean, we don't know what he could be, but you would say just watching him play, and we do it with guys in the preseason.
We get overly excited.
I would just say his skill set has you to go, okay, let's give this kid some more opportunity and see if we can trade him for something. Because obviously you're not going to keep him as a backup because you have Drake May. Unless you decide, he played well, we're going to keep him around and see if we can continue to raise his trade value. But his skill set makes you go, all right, I'd like to see a little bit more of him and what he could potentially be as a
Do you remember who was the most electrifying guy on the Patriots preseason roster last season?
Malik
Mania. Malik Cunningham.
Malik Mania.
Do you remember? How could they cut Malik Cunningham? Yeah. What are they doing? And now I don't even know. Is he even in the league anymore? I have no idea.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean,
Joe Milton seems great. I don't think he's going to be out of the league, but there are people that think he's a great quarterback or could be great. Mm-hmm. I think are losing their mind.
Malik Cunningham is with the Ravens.
All right. Still with the Ravens then. Okay, He's been with them for a minute.
Yeah. How many did he play this year?
No, he's not going to play. But sitting behind Lamar Jackson unless it's.
I mean, I don't know. In any capacity.
They have him as a wide receiver though.
Oh, okay. Do they? All right, so maybe they moved him.
Wide receiver on the Ravens.
Yeah.
Is Zay Flowers in or out? I don't know what's going on with that.
I think he's still out. I saw something based on the injury that he got. It would take him even if he was
practice again. It's fifth straight
they said that injury would take normally 3 to 4 weeks. So yeah. So
all right. Well, too bad for Zay Flowers, a guy that the Patriots had in their backyard and failed to draft.